What's up guys, and welcome to Xbox On, and it's 2018, and looking ahead, the year is going to be packed with awesome games, so we've rounded up the best games in 2018, so let's take a look.
The next game in Ubisoft's massively popular open world series is a far cry from the settings we're used to. This time it takes place much closer to home, if I was American, which I'm not. Yeah. Traditionally, the Far Cry series has offered open world, outpost destroying chaos in various exotic locations. This time though, it takes place in the homely green pastures of Montana State, USA. Eden's Gate, a militarized religious doomsday cult, have taken over Hope County under the leadership of the creepy Joseph Seed. Another in a long line of great and interesting Far Cry villains. You play a deputy sheriff who's part of a task force sent to arrest Seed and terminate his operation with prejudice so extreme it may as well be doing 1080 kickflips over a burning parish. It's got all the bombastic, emergent gameplay we love from Far Cry. Situations get wildly out of hand based on how we choose to approach the missions, but it's cranked up to 11, or in the case of Xbox One X, 12. It's the first main Far Cry exclusive to this generation of consoles, after all, and it shows, brand new doggo and all. But mostly it's the creepy allure of the rural religious cult that has my interest, a situation that's almost a little too close to home these days. It's all a bit American Gothic. I never did trust the look of that pitchfork guy.
The first State of Decay was one of the best open world zombie survival games out there. The Xbox exclusive State of Decay 2 is looking bigger, better, and most excitingly, is adding the much requested co-op multiplayer. State of Decay is all about the zombies. They're more than just walking targets and are a very real threat. You'll need to make sure you use your limited resources just right to deal with each situation, sometimes even just stealthing to avoid zombie detection completely. The world is infested with literally endless amounts of them, so going in guns hot is simply not a solution. This time you won't feel so isolated, as you'll be able to pull together a gang of friends to help you out with online multiplayer. The tense, heart-pounding situations are only going to get even more stomach-churning when a friend accidentally gets the attention of the Horde or becomes infected with the Blood Plague, forcing you to end them. Whether you play on Xbox One or Xbox One X, State of Decay 2 is a big step up on the first game. I've been chomping at the bit to jump into this, not chomping on human meat, definitely not. Oh god. I'm not turning, am I? If I turn, let me go out with some dignity. Destroy my Xbox One controller collection before Lydia gets her hands on it. Please?
I spent some time playing Zoo Tycoon in 2017, so the next step up from my beautiful animal menagerie has to be a dinosaur one. As someone who put way too many hours into the original Xbox's Operation Genesis, this mix of Jurassic Park and Zoo Constructor is a pitch-perfect combination. Of course, running on current generation consoles, Jurassic World Evolution is already looking absolutely stunning from the in-game trailer footage. As well as the standard park building you'd expect from this kind of game, it also seems that you'll need to deal with the standard Jurassic World sort of disasters, like dinosaurs having a little bit of an escape, or perhaps tour buggies breaking down in a raptor cage. Being able to manage your own world/park of dinos to croon over at your leisure is already a great proposition. Not to mention it's coming from the steady simulator hands of Frontier Development, who already brought us the interstellar Elite Dangerous. We can't wait to build a massive theme park, run the budget into the ground, and then in a final act of defiance, delete the T-Rex fencing that separates it from the visitor lobby. Life finds a way.
It's finally time for the third game in the Metro series, and an adventure that sees the game emerge from the tunnels of the Russian underground into some larger sandbox environments. Set in a post-apocalyptic nuclear-drenched future, Metro is a first-person shooter series where you're lucky to find a bullet, let alone take down an enemy with one. Different factions compete to control the last few safe bits of the world, while armies of mutant freaks hide in the rest. But no series quite nails the oppressive atmosphere of a world gone wrong quite like Metro. You'll need to scavenge for parts and trust in the weaponry you craft yourself, not to mention the gas mask that keeps you from the elements will crack and get grimy. Who knew looking so dirty would look so good on the Xbox One X? This time, the story takes place over the course of a year, on a journey east during a particularly harsh nuclear winter. and I thought the snow here was bad when the tube gets a bit iffy. The idea of exploring more of the outside world is really exciting after 2 games spent largely in the dark, though don't expect a Fallout 4 style sandbox. Metro games are all about tight storytelling. Why not get prepared for this stunning adventure by playing the Xbox One remasters of the first 2 games?
I need a way out from this year so I can get my hands on 2018's games even quicker. Part of the EA Originals program, A Way Out shares a director with Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons, one of our favourite indie games of all time. Like Brothers, A Way Out is a story about 2 people, but this time you have to play the game with 2 players, either locally or online. There's no single player mode at all. Don't worry though, a special trial feature will allow 2 players to play the whole game online with just 1 copy. The story follows Leo and Vincent, both prisoners who must break out of jail and escape from the authorities. It's split screen, but you can expect vastly different experiences and challenges for each player. Asynchronous multiplayer, according to the dictionary Benny got me for the Office Secret Santa. In one scene, one of you must distract a guard while the other pockets a tool to use in your escape. In another, one might be watching a cutscene while the other still has control. There will be different approaches and choices, so you might have a whole different experience depending on who you play with. This is shaping into the ultimate co-op adventure, so I can't wait to argue with Benny from start to finish. The Artful Escape is a beautiful looking indie game that combines a papercraft 2D look with 3D environments in a platformer all about musical escapism. It's also one of the best things I played at E3, somehow blending the epic posturing of an arena rock concert with platforming. Yeah, I was surprised too. The nephew of a famous musician, the main character Francis, also a musician, feels trapped by the high bar and expectations set by his relative. He runs away from his debut concert to find his true musical self and learn to step out of that shadow. This means running through a surreal landscape, wailing on your electric guitar to solve puzzles and impress the musical gods. It's part rhythm game, part Simon Says, as you try and mimic tunes played by the creatures you meet. Even better, your guitar auto-tunes to the soundtrack so that it always sounds great. And if that doesn't convince you, you can also shred on your guitar to walk through the air. Honestly, this game rocks, and I can't wait to play more.
Now, we don't tend to cover a huge amount of fighting games on the channel, but even we were blown away by the manic energy of this latest Dragon Ball fighter. The coolest thing about Dragon Ball FighterZ is how it straddles the line between being extremely approachable for complete newcomers, while also providing all the depth that you'd expect from a legitimate fighting game community mainstay. Complex fighting game systems are present, but have all been stripped back with how you first approach them. Auto combos are very much built into the design of the game, but in such a way that encourages experimentation outside of that and natural learning. Not to mention the 3D models in a 2D manga style look absolutely stunning. It's almost hard to believe it's not 2D, and there's a huge amount of detail in all of it. Little flourishes of animation or moves that reference individual frames from the manga or sequences from the anime. I'm so blown away by how good it looks, I'm honestly considering remodeling my hair based on Goku.
I'm not big into real life hunting, but give me a warrior cat friend, a big sword that can turn into an even bigger axe, and a huge rampaging dino beast, and I'm all in on monster hunting. Marking the first time the Japanese phenomenon has come to Xbox One, Monster Hunter World is a fittingly huge update to a series that's always been at the top of the hunting big monsters genre food chain. Essentially, you take on hunts that require you to kill or capture certain monsters, and are then dropped into a huge ecosystem to carry out the task. Every monster in the world has its own quirks and behaviours you'll need to learn to become a monster hunter. For instance, you might know to hack off a tail first to weaken its attacks, or to lure over another bigger monster so they fight over territory, or lay down some extra huge traps and then get it to chase you as you madly run away. Top this off with your own heavily customizable character in terms of weapons and armor loadouts, and you can really have it your way. And to craft those items, you actually need to hunt and carve up the monsters. There's no magical boxes filled with prizes here. Everything comes from your own achievements. And there's 4-player online co-op, which it takes the amazing single-player adventure and multiplies the magic by 4. Let it get its claws into you and you'll be playing this one for months. And it arrives on Xbox One in just a few weeks. The race for Game of the Year starts here, people.
The best sequels are always packed with way more than the original, which is why I always demand extra scoops of ice cream for dessert. The first The Crew was already huge, an open world racing game that took place across the whole of America, and as far as countries go, it's pretty big, as I found out last E3 when I ended up walking 3 hours to find a Denny's. So how do you make The Crew 2 even bigger? More vehicles, not stopping at just more cars, you can now take boats and planes across the roadways of the USA. It's the sequel to trains, planes, and automobiles that I've always wanted. The Crew was already super open, but now you can even switch between different vehicle styles instantly. That's something that you just can't do in real life. I'm always excited to see how any new racing game pushes the genre and the hardware forward, but it feels like a long time since we've seen a racing game with this kind of crazy ambition. 2018 will finally be the year I am Crackdown freed from my Crackdown need. I've been looking forward to this one ever since the Xbox One was first announced. The first game defined the Xbox 360's era of super-powered open worlds and does it all bigger and better, leaping over buildings, wreaking havoc with big nasty weapons, and most importantly, collecting hundreds of orbs. Orbs, orbs, orbs. Crackdown was just a brilliant world to inhabit and explore. Pushing the Xbox One's power to the limit, Crackdown 3 promises massive real-time destruction, in addition to the Crackdown gameplay we know and love. This destruction will come to the forefront in the game's online multiplayer modes that'll see you tearing up a city with your friends. It uses cutting-edge cloud computing to show you destruction like never before. What more could you want? With buildings properly structurally designed, this is more than buildings just crumbling like you're used to in a lot of other games, but actually being destroyed bit by bit before they topple completely. And the bigger they are, the harder they fall. If only we could have destroyed the agency tower in the first game, rather than getting such a headache climbing that damn tower. We've got big hopes for Crackdown 3 and can't wait to see it redefine chaotic open world sandbox fun for this generation of consoles.
As someone who recently adopted a cat, I fully understand their ability to turn into cute fluffball to deadly assassin in the blink of an eye. Okay, so my cat doesn't know kung fu and certainly doesn't have access to a katana and a handgun, but the cute but deadly vibe of Biomutant is very familiar. Developed by some former Just Cause staff, there's some similarities in Biomutant in that it's a big open world game filled with chaotic action. Expect plenty of crazy weapons and vehicles, as well as a detailed martial arts system mixing gunplay with kung fu so that no two fights will feel the same. The post-apocalyptic story has you exploring a lush world that has grown past humanity, searching old bunkers and taking on the super-powered beasts that rule what remains. And it's all narrated in real time, with a voiceover commenting on the choices you make. You can create and customize your own Biomutant, and you'll be able to power up by recoding your genetic structure to take abilities of other animals, like claws or spiky tails. A bit like Kirby meets Max Payne, which is a pretty awesome combination. The demo we saw at Gamescom last year contained more ideas in 10 minutes than most games fit in the whole thing, putting this right at the top of our pre-order pile. The first Ori game is one of Xbox One's very best. It mixed together extremely refined platforming with stunning visuals, music, and a story that reminded us of some of our favourite animated films. The sequel is keeping most of its secrets well hidden, but promises to push the series even further, with new environments beyond the wooded original and enhanced in 4K for the Xbox One X. As a series, Ori pulls off modern Metroidvania gameplay gracefully. Essentially, it's a 2D platformer with a huge map packed with challenges that you can largely explore however you like. Over the course of the game, you collect new powers that allow you to reach new areas. Progressively, you feel more powerful and are met with harder tasks as you get better. It's a wonderful gameplay hook. Gorgeous graphics, marvelous music. Ori is nothing less than pure craftsmanship, so seeing everything come together on new, powerful hardware will be a real treat.
From Mass Effect to Dragon Age, BioWare have been responsible for some of the biggest and most memorable adventures I've had in gaming ever. They're not just a studio great at making stories, but complete worlds that capture your interest and make you want to explore every nook and cranny. Imagine if BioWare made a Destiny-styled shared world MMO and you have Anthem. You know, I love online multiplayer, so I've always wanted to see what BioWare could do by combining their world-building skills with multiplayer, and that's all they needed to announce to get my full interest. Their reveal trailer wasn't the sort of story-heavy thing that you might expect from the studio, but focused on receiving a mission and teaming up with friends, all captured in-engine and looking stunning on the Xbox One X. Using a jetpack suit called a Javelin, you can zoom around the lush world that just looks so incredibly real and alive. It looks like it'll be dense with things to do, but also easy to move around it thanks to the mech-styled movement. Yes, the mission they showed off did eventually end with you and your teammates doing a bit of the old shooting, but for once, it's a world that I'd be happy to just put my gun away in and explore. Knowing BioWare, there'll be plenty of rewards for doing just that.
Open to everyone multiplayer pirate game is straight out of my dreams. I have a lot of pirate-related dreams. Thanks to the technical alpha, we've played loads of Sea of Thieves already. Taking place in a shared world, you'll need to pull your weight as part of a pirate crew of other players whilst hunting for treasure. Whether that's the hefty responsibility of steering your pirate ship, or being relegated to playing accordion in the crow's nest looking out for enemy ships, which is what we made Benny do. Enemy ships are populated by rival pirate crews of real players, which can lead to some pretty intense high seas scraps, boarding ships, crossing cutlasses, or firing yourself out of a cannon at the enemy. Stay in one piece and you'll have to put your noggins together to find the treasure, actually having to figure out where X marks the spot through clues. It's all held together with your overarching quest to become a pirate legend, a task you pursue by working for different trading companies. Will you dedicate yourself to treasure hunting, combat challenges, or resource gathering? All three are valid paths. Or will you just stand on deck looking at the best water ever seen in a video game whilst honking on an accordion? In Sea of Thieves, the choice is yours.
Redemption is one thing that Rockstar doesn't need with this long-awaited sequel to the incredible Red Dead Redemption. At a surface level, you can describe the series as Grand Theft Auto in the Wild West, but it's so much more than that. The first game gave us an epic and sweeping tale of outlaw justice. Playing as John Marston, you had to journey across America and Mexico, rounding up your old comrades from the infamous Dutch gang, in return for a pardon for you and your family. Red Dead Redemption 2 turns back the clock. The main story is a prequel to the events of the first game, following Arthur Morgan during his time in the very same Dutch gang. It looks like this one will see you on the other side of the steam engine tracks, very much involved in being a badass outlaw, caught up in some nasty plots, bold heists, and plenty of shakedowns for money. We're keen to see whether it'll make you go full bad guy, or if Morgan will have doubts about the outlaw life. More than anything, I'm ready to be swept away on yet another daring adventure story. On top of its explosive story, Red Dead Redemption 2 will also bring back the terrific online multiplayer. We spent hours and hours running around the Wild West causing mischief and riding donkeys with other players in the original, and can't wait to see how it looks on a new console generation. So there we have it, some of the most anticipated games of the year. Do make sure to let us know down in the comments below which ones you're most looking forward to. And if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any awesome exclusive footage. Drop a thumbs up on the video and we'll see you guys next time.